Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History. Coin lovers, treasure hunters and history seekers all across the world, today we dive deep into one of the most iconic pieces of American money, a coin that has traveled through generations' pockets and memories, the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln penny from the year 1974. This little copper-colored coin may look simple at first glance, but it carries a story filled with history value, surprising rarities and unexpected discoveries that continue to fascinate collectors every single day. And as always, stay with me right until the end, because we will reveal the true auction price that the rarest example of this coin has brought in the world of serious collectors, and that number may shock you. The 1974 Lincoln cent comes from a time of major change across the United States. The country was transitioning through political challenges, economic shifts and cultural transformations, and coins from this era reflect that atmosphere in subtle ways. The Lincoln penny had already been circulating for more than 60 years by 1974, yet it remained one of the most trusted and most used coins in the entire nation. The familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed many decades earlier, continued to appear on the obverse side, reminding the country of leadership, strength and unity during a century defined by challenge and progress. Holding a 1974 penny is like holding a piece of American history, an object that passed through the hands of workers, soldiers, students, parents, and everyday people who used it for everything from paying for coffee to saving in old jars for their children. The design of this coin carries a deep emotional connection. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front captures his thoughtful, determined expression, while the reverse showcases the classic Lincoln memorial structure, a symbol of admiration, respect, and reflection. This memorial design includes tiny but incredible details, including the barely visible statue of Lincoln inside the monument, a detail that collectors always love pointing out. The composition of the 1974 penny also reflects a major economic issue of the time. For many decades, pennies were made mostly from copper, but as inflation rose and the price of copper increased, the U.S. Mint began exploring alternatives and testing different metal combinations. This experimentation eventually led to the famous 1974 aluminum penny, which caused controversy, confusion, government attention, and now enormous collector interest. Although the standard 1974 penny is copper and extremely common, the story behind the year gives it an important place in the timeline of U.S. Mint history. Now the real excitement begins when we explore the collector appeal of the 1974 Lincoln cent. Most circulated examples are extremely common, but in the world of coins, condition is everything, and that single factor completely changes the conversation. A coin that has been used in everyday transactions usually carries scratches, discoloration, dullness, and wear, but a coin that has survived untouched, with its shine preserved and its details crisp, becomes something truly desirable. Collectors search for Lincoln pennies from this year with perfect luster, full sharp lines, clean surfaces, and no blemishes, and the difference between a worn penny and a gem mint example can be worth hundreds or even thousands of times more. Over the years, graders have examined millions of 1974 pennies, and only a small fraction have earned the highest mint state designation. Some were struck with exceptional pressure, some were produced with perfectly polished dies, and some survived in sealed rolls, never entering circulation. Those rare top-grade examples stand as the true stars of the year and enter the world of premium valuation and record-breaking bidding. But we're not finished yet, because errors and varieties from 1974 add another layer of excitement to this already fascinating coin. Certain examples show doubling, especially on the date, the letters of liberty, or the inscription "In God We Trust." Other coins have weak strikes, unusual die polish lines, misaligned dies, or small anomalies caused during mint production. These variations transform an ordinary 1-cent piece into a unique collectible, and error collectors, especially those who chase oddities from the 1970s, love searching for these special examples. Imagine discovering a coin in your pocket that millions of people would overlook, but a trained collector would immediately recognize as a treasure. That is the magic of coin hunting, and that is exactly why the 1974 penny continues to attract attention through every generation. Now it is finally time for the moment you have been waiting for, the reveal of the highest recorded value for a 1974 1-cent Lincoln penny in pristine condition at a public auction, and the number reached an impressive total of more than $4,000. In words, only $4,000. Today we turn our attention to a tiny piece of American currency that millions of people have touched without ever realizing its hidden potential. The United States of America 1-cent Lincoln penny from the year 1975, a year filled with historic moments, political changes, and iconic events across the country. And right now we are going to travel through time to uncover everything that makes this penny special, from its design to its metal composition to its collector value, and of Course, that unbelievable auction price at the end that you do not want to miss. The 1975 Lincoln cent comes from an era when the penny was still a powerful symbol of America's everyday economy. This coin passed through the hands of workers, students, families, and business owners. It was used at gas stations, diners, grocery stores, and countless small shops from coast to coast. Every detail on the coin tells a story. The obverse features the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has been in use since 1909 and remains one of the longest-running coin designs in United States history. This portrait represents leadership, hope, and perseverance, and in the mid-1970s it was a symbol of encouragement for a nation facing change. Flip the coin to the reverse and you will see the Lincoln Memorial standing tall and proud, representing unity, national pride, and the celebration of one of the most influential leaders in American history. The tiny statue of Lincoln engraved inside the memorial is one of the most mesmerizing details on any modern U.S. coin and shows just how much effort the mint put into even the smallest pieces of everyday currency. This combination of historical portrait and architectural tribute has made the 1975 penny one of the most recognizable coins in America. But the real fascination begins when we examine how these coins were produced during the 1970s. Copper prices were rising and the U.S. Mint was constantly evaluating future material changes. Although the 1975 penny continued to be struck in a copper-based alloy, the economic debate surrounding copper value added an interesting chapter to this coin's history. It represents the final era before the composition would shift permanently in the early 1980s, making the 1975 penny a member of the last generations of true copper-based Lincoln cents. Even though hundreds of millions were minted, not all 1975 pennies are equal in the eyes of collectors. Most circulated examples show wear from years of use, scratches, fading color, loss of sharp lines, and signs of aging. But the story changes dramatically when we talk about high-grade examples. A mint state penny from 1975 that has remained untouched with full shine, no contact marks, and sharp details becomes a completely different prize. Collectors chase these gem examples because they are far scarcer than the overall mintage suggests. The number of 1975 pennies that survived in perfect condition is extremely small, and every year that passes the number shrinks even further. Collectors look for strong luster, crisp edges, bold details on Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat, clear lettering, and a glowing copper tone that makes the coin appear almost freshly minted. When a coin like this appears, it immediately catches the attention of grading companies, dealers, and serious collectors who know how rare these pristine survivors truly are, and that is exactly why the 1975 penny has surprised many people at auctions over the years. The story becomes even more exciting when we talk about errors and varieties. Certain 1975 pennies show minor doubling on the lettering or date, while others may have die cracks, misaligned strikes, die polish lines, or off-center strikes. These unusual characteristics are created during the minting process, and each error makes the coin unique. Collectors love anything out of the ordinary, and even small mistakes can transform an everyday penny into a special collectible worth far more than face value. Imagine digging through an old box of coins or checking a jar of pennies saved by a grandparent and finding a coin with a stunning shine or a rare minting error that has the potential to bring in thousands. This is the adventure and thrill that keeps collectors searching and makes the 1975 penny a fun and rewarding coin for both beginners and experts. And now we finally arrive at the moment you have been waiting for, the highest known public auction price for a 1975 Lincoln 1-cent coin in exceptional condition, a true gem that stunned collectors when the hammer fell. The highest recorded amount reached an incredible total of $1,800. In words, only $1,800. Today we are diving into a truly iconic year, a year filled with fireworks, celebrations, and patriotic pride, because we are exploring the United States of America. 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1976, a coin minted during the nation's bicentennial year when America celebrated 200 years of independence. And even though the penny design did not officially change like the quarter, half dollar, and dollar, the 1976 Lincoln cent still carries a level of historical importance that makes it a fascinating piece of numismatic history. And by the end of this video we will reveal the highest auction record for this coin in words only, so stay glued to the very last second. The 1976 Lincoln penny comes from a time when America was celebrating unity, heritage, and a sense of rebirth as people all across the country honored the anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The air was filled with patriotism, parades, music, and pride, and Every coin minted that year became a quiet witness to those celebrations. While circulating in pockets, wallets and registers, millions of Americans touched this coin without ever thinking twice about it. But collectors today see the year 1976 as something special, something symbolic, and something deeply tied to national identity. On the obverse side of the coin we see the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. This portrait has appeared on the penny since 1909, creating one of the longest-running coin designs in world history. The bold profile of Lincoln reflects wisdom, resilience, and leadership, qualities that the nation celebrated especially strongly during the bicentennial year. Every tiny detail, from the strands of hair to the lines of the coat, is part of a design that is loved, respected, and recognized by collectors everywhere. Turn the coin over and the reverse displays the majestic Lincoln Memorial standing tall in all its grandeur. The structure symbolizes unity, national pride, and the honoring of a leader who shaped the nation in profound ways. Inside the memorial, if you look closely, you can actually see the tiny engraved statue of Lincoln sitting in the center, a breathtaking detail that makes collectors appreciate the artistry found in even the smallest denominations of United States coinage. In 1976, when the country was celebrating 2 centuries of independence, this symbol of honor and tradition carried an even deeper meaning. Although the 1976 penny was minted in huge quantities, millions upon millions of examples entered circulation, yet only a tiny percentage survived in pristine condition. Most coins were used heavily, passing from hand to hand, losing their shine, collecting scratches, fading around the lettering, and showing the typical wear of everyday commerce. But the true treasures are the coins that never circulated, those that spent decades in original rolls untouched. Bags or mint sets where their copper surfaces remained bright and clean. Collectors chase the finest known specimens of the 1976 penny because the difference between a circulated coin and a gem mint state coin is enormous. A high-grade penny from this year glows with fiery red luster, shows beautifully sharp details on Lincoln's hair, beard, and jawline, and features crisp edges and flawless surfaces. These flawless coins are rare because time, humidity handling, and storage conditions often affect copper more dramatically than other metals, making top-tier examples highly desirable. But the story does not stop with perfect condition. There are also fascinating errors and varieties associated with the 1976 penny which add excitement for collectors across the world. Certain coins show doubling, especially on the word liberty on the date or on the motto "In God We Trust." Other examples show weak strikes, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and even a few unusual polishing marks that make the coin appear different from a standard strike. Error coins attract a special group of collectors who love finding pieces that stand apart from the rest, and even minor minting mistakes can dramatically increase a coin's desirability and value. Imagine searching through a jar of old pennies inherited from a family member, or opening a forgotten roll of coins stored for decades and suddenly discovering a shining red gem from 1976, or a rare error that has gone unnoticed for nearly 50 years. That is the type of thrill that keeps collectors searching, and why the 1976 penny continues to be an exciting coin for beginners and experts alike. Despite its simplicity, the penny from this bicentennial year carries emotional weight, historical symbolism, and the potential for serious collector value, especially in the highest grades. And now it is finally time for the moment you have been waiting for, the highest auction price ever recorded for a 1976 Lincoln 1-cent coin in elite condition, a sale that left collectors impressed and proved how much quality matters. The top example sold for an amazing total of $1,100, in words only $1,100. Today we are going deep into one of the most interesting and widely collected coins from the modern era, the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1977, a coin that seems ordinary at first glance, but when you understand its background, its history, its design, its varieties, and its potential value, it becomes one of the most rewarding pieces for collectors to explore. So get ready for a long, fascinating journey through time, design, rarity, and surprising worth, and stay with me until the very end, because the highest known auction price will be revealed in words only. The 1977 Lincoln penny comes from a time when America was adjusting to new economic pressures, social change, and technological progress. The penny had been circulating for nearly 7 decades by then, yet it remained one of the most trusted and most used coins in everyday life. Every grocery store, every gas station, every school lunch counter, and every savings jar had these copper coins passing through them. This coin was part of the daily rhythm of American life, and because copper prices were beginning to rise during the decade, it became one of the last generations of true copper-based Lincoln cents before the great composition change of the 80s. The front of the coin carries the enduring portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design created by Victor David Brenner that has stood the test of time and become one of the most iconic images in American numismatics: his calm, thoughtful expression, the shape of his jaw, the details in his hair and coat, the simple but powerful layout of the date Liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust." All of these elements work together to create a design that feels both historical and deeply personal. Generations of Americans have grown up with this design in their pockets, and the 1977 penny continues that tradition. Turn the coin over and you are greeted by the majestic Lincoln Memorial, which served as the reverse design. From 1959 to 2008, this structure is more than just architecture. It is a symbol of unity, strength, and national honor. And inside, between the pillars, if you look closely, you can actually spot the tiny engraved statue of Lincoln sitting exactly as he appears inside the real memorial. This tiny detail is something collectors love showing to beginners because it demonstrates the level of artistry the U.S. Mint brought even to a coin worth only 1 cent. Millions upon millions of 1977 pennies were struck across the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and because they were heavily used in everyday circulation, most of them show wear and tear, scratches, fading, dullness, and signs of age. But the real excitement in the collector world begins when we talk about condition, because not all pennies from 1977 are equal. The finest examples, the ones with blazing original copper luster, untouched surfaces, sharp details, and a bright red shine, are incredibly scarce compared to the overall mintage. The number of truly high-grade mint state coins that survived from this year is shockingly small, and each passing decade makes those survivors even rarer. Collectors search for those perfect coins, the ones that were probably stored away in original bank-wrapped rolls, mint sets, or old collections. Coins with full red designations, smooth surfaces, and crisp details. These high-grade examples are what earn top prices from collectors and grading companies, because quality is everything when it comes to modern copper coins. Even the tiniest scratch or faint mark can drop the value dramatically. Now the story becomes even more interesting when we talk about errors and varieties from 1977. Some pennies from this year show unusual doubling on the letters or numbers. Some show misaligned dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and even the occasional weak strike that gives the coin a unique appearance. Error. Collectors love pieces like these because each one is special, different, and sometimes completely one of a kind. Imagine finding a penny with part of the design shifted off the edge, or one where the letters appear doubled and bold. These rare mistakes turn an ordinary coin into a conversation piece that collectors are willing to pay premium prices for. Think for a moment about how many people have searched through jars, boxes, and coin rolls hoping to find that perfect gem or that rare minting error. It is this simple thrill of discovery that makes the 1977 penny such an enjoyable coin for people of all ages. Whether you are a new collector or a longtime expert, this coin offers something special: history, nostalgia, rarity, and the possibility of real monetary value. And now, after exploring the history, design, rarity, and collector demand, we finally reached the moment you have been waiting for: the highest public auction record for a 1977 Lincoln 1-cent penny in superb mint state condition, a coin that stunned collectors when the bidding closed. The top example sold for an impressive total of $2,900, in words only $2,900. Today we are exploring the incredible journey of the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln penny from the year 1978, a coin that millions of people have held in their hands without ever realizing that some rare survivors from this year can be worth far more than just a single cent. And today we are going to dive deep into its history, its design, its rarity, its hidden varieties, and its surprising value. So, stay with me all the way to the end, because we will reveal the highest public auction price for this coin in words only. The 1978 Lincoln penny comes from the final stretch of the copper era before the big change that happened in the early 80s. This means that every penny minted in 1978 was still made with a high copper content, giving it that rich classic red glow that collectors love. At this time, America was pushing through economic pressure, new technology, rising costs, and a new generation entering adulthood. And through all these changes, the Lincoln penny remained one of the most familiar and trusted coins in circulation. Everyone from schoolchildren to business owners carried these coins in pockets, wallets, cash registers, and piggy banks, and each one traveled through everyday life like a silent witness of American history. On the front side of the coin we see the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, created by the talented artist Victor David Brenner, who designed it all the way back in 1909. This portrait is one of the most famous coin designs in the world, with its deep expression, sharp details, and classic layout. The words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" frame the design, along with the date 1978, and this single image represents leadership, unity, and the strength of the nation. Lincoln's enduring presence on the coin reminds us of the values that shaped the country and makes this penny one of the most recognizable coins ever minted. Turn the coin over and you are greeted by the beautifully engraved Lincoln Memorial, a design filled with architectural detail and national pride. The real memorial stands in Washington, D.C. as a monument to honor Abraham Lincoln, but on the coin it becomes a miniature masterpiece featuring columns, steps, shadows, and even the small statue of Lincoln sitting inside the structure. This tiny statue is so small that many people don't even notice it until they look closely with a magnifying glass, but collectors appreciate how much precision and artistry went into the reverse design. Every line and every angle was carefully engraved to create a detailed representation of a national landmark, all on a coin worth just 1 cent. Now, even though the United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins in 1978, not all of them survived in great condition. Most pennies from this year show signs of heavy use, scratches, dents, or discoloration, fading, and loss of that bright copper shine. But the story becomes extremely interesting when we talk about the few coins that never entered circulation, the ones that stayed hidden inside original rolls, sealed mint sets, or private collections where they escaped damage and remained in beautiful mint state condition. Coins that shine with full red luster, sharp edges, and flawless surfaces are incredibly rare, and these are the ones collectors pay serious money for, because condition is everything when it comes to copper coins. High-grade 1978 pennies with strong luster, crisp details, smooth surfaces, and bright red color are in high demand. These rare gems are often graded by professional grading companies and assigned top mint state designations, which can transform a simple little copper coin into something truly valuable. The difference between an average circulated penny and a perfect untouched mint state penny can be massive, and collectors know this, which is why they hunt for the finest examples they can find. But the excitement does not stop there, because 1978 also produced a variety of errors and unusual minting characteristics that make some coins stand out from the rest. Certain examples show doubling on the letters or date, others may show die cracks, lines created by polishing the dies, or off-center strikes where part of the design is shifted and does not land perfectly in the center of the coin. Some coins even show clipped planchets where a piece of the edge is missing, and these errors attract a whole different group of collectors because each error coin is unique, and that uniqueness brings added value. Imagine searching through a jar of old change inherited from a family member, or opening a forgotten roll of pennies and discovering a flawless red glowing 1978 penny, or even better, a dramatic mint error that has been unnoticed for decades. That is the thrill that keeps collectors searching, and why coins from this era continue to fascinate both beginners and experts across the world. The 1978 Lincoln penny may seem simple, but when you learn about the history, the design, the scarcity of high-grade examples, and the excitement of rare mint errors, it becomes clear why this coin is such an important part of American coin collecting. And now we reach the moment you have been waiting for, the highest public auction price ever recorded for a 1978 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a price reached by an absolutely stunning mint state example that amazed collectors. When the bidding ended, the top sale reached the impressive total of $2,500, in words only $2,500.